thus dwelling with the Brahmanas in that best of mountains, in expectation of Arjuna's return, when the Pandavas had grown confident, and when all those Rakshasas, together with Bhishma's son, had departed. On the while Bhishmasena was away, a Rakshasa all of sudden carried off Yudhishthira, the just, and the twins, and Krishna. That Rakshasa had constantly remained in the company of the Pandavas, alleging that he was a high-class Brahmana, skilled in counsel and versed in all the Shastras. His object was to possess himself of the bows, the quivers, and the other material implements belonging to the Pandavas, and he had been watching for an opportunity of ravishing Draupadi, and that wicked and sinful one was named Jatasura, and Pandu's son had been supporting him, knew not that wretch like unto a fire covered with ashes. And once on a day, a while that oppressor of foes, Bhishmasena, was out a-hunting, he, seeing Gihatotikakha and his followers scattered in different directions, and seeing those while observing great riches of ascetic wealth, Lomasa and the rest, away for wafting and collecting flowers, assumed a different form, gigantic and monstrous and frightful, and having secured all the arms, as also Draupadi, that wicked one fled away, taking the 3 Pandavas. Thereupon that son of Pandu, Sahadeva, extricated himself with exertion, and by force snatched the sword named Kausika from the grasp of the enemy, and began to call Bhishmasena, taking the direction in which that might on had gone, and on being carried off, Yudhishthira the just addressed him, saying, Thy merit decreaseth, dost thou not pay heed unto the established order of nature, whether belonging to the human race or to the lower orders, or pay regard to virtue, more especially the Rakshasas. In the first instance, they knew virtue better than others. Having considered all this, thou ought to adhere to virtue. The gods, the Pitris, the Siddhas, the Rishis, the Gandharvas, the brutes, and even the worms and ants depend for their lives on men, and thou too livest through that agency. If prosperity attendeth the human race, thy race prospereth, and if calamities befall the former, even the celestials suffer grief, being gratified by offerings. Do the gods thrive? We are the guardians, governors, and preceptors of kingdom. If kingdoms become unprotected, whence can proceed prosperity and happiness? Unless there be offense, a Rakshasa should not violate a king. We have committed no wrong, ever so little. Living on Vigihasa, we serve the gods and others to the best of our power, and we are never intent upon bowing down to our superiors and Brahmanas, our friend, and on confining, and he whose food hath been partaken of, and he that hath afforded shelter, should never be injured. Thou hast lived in our place happily, being duly honored, and having partaken of our food, how canst thou carry us off? And as thy acts are so improper, and as thou hast grown in age without deriving any benefit, and as thy propensities are evil, thou deservest to die for nothing, and for nothing wilt die today. And if thou beest really evil disposed and devoid of all virtue, do thou hand us back our weapons and ravish Draupadi after fight. If through stupidity thou must do this deed, then in the world thou wilt only heap demerit and infamy, by doing violence to this female of the human race. Thou hast drunk poison after having shaken the vessel. Thereupon Yudhishthira made himself ponderous to the Hakishasa, and being oppressed with the weight, he could not proceed happily as before. Then, addressing Draupadi, Nakula, and Sahadeva, Yudhishthira said, Do ye not entertain any fear of this wretched Hakishasa? I have checked his speed. The might-armed son of the wind god may not be far away, and on Bhishma coming up at the next moment, the Hakishasa will not leave. Staring at the Hakishasa, bereft of sense, Sahadeva addressed Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, saying, What can be more meritorious for a Kshatriya than to fall in fight or defeat a foe? We will fight, and either the son will slay us, or we shall slay him. Verily, this is the place and time. Thou of unfailing prowess, the time hath come for the display of our Kshatriya virtue. It behoveth us to attain heaven, either by gaining victory or being slain. If the sun sets today, the Hakishasa living yet, I will not any more say that I am a Kshatriya. Hakishasa say, I am Pandu's son, Sahadeva, either after having killed me, care of this lady, or being slain, lie senseless here. Madri's son, Sahadeva, was speaking thus, when Bhishmasena made his appearance with a mace in his hand, like unto Vasava himself, yielding the thunderbolt. And here he saw his two brothers and the noble-minded Draupadi, and Sahadeva on the ground, rebuking the Hakishasa, and that stupid Hakishasa himself, deprived of sense by fate, going round in different directions through bewilderment caused by destiny, and finding his brothers and Draupadi being carried off, Bhishma of might strength was fired with wrath and addressed the Hakishasa, saying, I had found thee out for a wicked wight from thy scrutiny of our weapons. As I had no apprehension of thee, I had not slain thee at that time. Thou wert in the disguise of a Brahmana, nor didst thou say anything harsh unto us, and thou didst take delight in pleasing us, and thou didst not do us wrong, and furthermore, thou wert our guest. How could I, therefore, slay thee, who wert thus innocent of offence, and who wert in the disguise of a Brahmana? He that, knowing such a one to be even a Hakishasa, slayeth him goeth to hell. Further, thou canst not be killed before the time cometh. Surely today thou hast reached the fullness of thy time, inasmuch as thy mind hath been thus turned by the wonder performing. Fate was carrying off Krishna. By committing thyself to this deed, thou hast swallowed up the hook fastened to the fin of fate, like unto a fish in water, whose mouth hath been hooked. How canst thou live today? Thou shalt not have to go whither thou intendest to, or whither thou hast already gone. Mentally, thou shalt go whither have prepared Vaka and Hirinva. Thus addressed by Bhishma, the Hakishasa in alarm put them down, and being forced by fate, approached for fight, and with his lips trembling in anger, he spake unto Bhishma, saying, Wretch, I have not been bewildered, I have been delaying for thee. Today will I offer oblations of thy blood to those Hakishasa who, I had heard, I have been slain by thee in fight. Thus addressed Bhishma, as if bursting with wrath, like unto Yama himself, at the time of the universal dissolution, rushed towards the Rakshasa, licking the corners of his mouth and staring at him as he struck his own arms with the hands. And seeing Bhishma waiting in expectation of fight, the Rakshasa darted towards him in anger, like unto a valley towards the yelder of the thunderbolt, repeatedly gaping and licking the corners of his mouth. And when a dreadful wrestling ensued between those two, both the sons of Madri, waxing exceeding wrath, rushed forward. Vrikodara forbade them with a smile and said, "Witness ye, I am more than a match for this Rakshasa, by my own self, and by my brothers, and by my merit, and by my good deeds, and by my sacrifices, do I swear that I shall slay this Rakshasa." And after this was said, those two heroes, the Rakshasa and Vrikodara, challenging each other, caught each other by the arms, and they not forgiving each other. Then there ensued a conflict between the infuriated Bhishma and the Rakshasa, like unto that between a god and a demon. And repeatedly uprooting trees, those two of might strength struck each other, shouting and roaring like two masses of clowns, and those foremost of athletes, each wishing to kill the other, and rushing at the other with vehemence, broke down many a gigantic tree by their tykes. Thus that encounter with trees, destructive of plants, went on like unto that between the two brothers, Vali and Sugriva, desirous of the possession of a single woman. Brandishing trees for a moment, they struck each other with them, shouting incessantly. And when all the trees of the spot had been pulled down and crushed into fibers by them, endeavoring to kill each other, then those two of might strength, taking up rocks, began to fight for a while, like unto a mountain and a mighty mass of clouds, and not suffering each other, they fell to striking each other with hard and large crags, resembling vehement thunderbolts. Then from strength, defying each other, they again darted at each other, and grasping each other by their arms, began to wrestle like unto two elephants. And next they dealt each other fierce blows, and then those two mighty arms began to make shattering sounds by gnashing their teeth, and at length, having clenched his fist like a five-headed snake, Bhishma with force dealt a blow on the neck of the Rakshasa, and when struck by that fist of Bhishma, the Rakshasa became faint. Bhishma Sena stood, catching hold of that exhausted arm. And then the godlike might armed Bhishma lifted him with his two arms, and dashing him with force on the ground, the son of Pandu smashed all his limbs, and striking him with his elbow, he severed from his body the head with beaten lips and rolling eyes, like unto a fruit from its stem. And Jatasura had being severed by Bhishma might, he fell besmeared with gore, and having beaten lips. Having slain Jatasura, Bhishma presented himself before Yudhishthira, and the foremost Brahmanas began to eulogize him, even as the Marutas, Vasava,